Welcome to AI World TV, your go-to destination for everything artificial intelligence. Discover the captivating landscape of AI, where advanced technology finds real-life application. Subscribe to AI World TV for webzine articles, reports, podcasts, videos, live events, and latest trends. Hear from top industry leaders and discover how AI is transforming industries and our daily lives.
And finding out that the absolute biggest threat to your financial stability isn't like a hacker stealing your banking password,
Right.
but actually a fleet of autonomous AI agents just quietly rewiring the global financial system in, literal milliseconds,
Yeah.
entirely behind your back.
Yeah. It's a terrifying thought.
It is. Welcome to this deep dive. We've curated this session specifically for you to really help you cut through the noise, and understand the foundational shifts happening right now in our world.
Exactly. And today, our source material is actually a really fascinating snapshot of the current moment. It's a single web page from the AI World Journal, dated today, April 25, 2026.
Yeah, and the whole goal here is to look past those flashy artificial intelligence product announcements of 2026.
Right, the stuff that makes the evening news.
Exactly. We want to uncover the hidden physical and economic realities of AI because, as you know, a single page of industry news often reveals way more in its margins than it does in its big, bold headlines.
Assuming you know what mechanisms are actually at play, yeah.
Yeah, right. So we initially set out to examine the main feature article on this page. It's written by Sydney Armani, and the title sets a really clear thesis. It's called The AI Threat No One is Talking About: Financial System Risk in the Age of Autonomous Models.
Which is a great hook.
It is. But the immediate hurdle we ran into is that Armani's piece is completely locked behind a premium content paywall.
Yeah, classic. Which, to be fair, actually forces us to look at the broader context of the page itself.
Right.
Because the sidebars, the data center news blurbs, the financial tickers, the trending headlines, all of that creates this massive unpaywalled mosaic.
We can basically reconstruct the true state of AI right now just by analyzing the ecosystem surrounding that one locked article.
Exactly.
Okay, let's unpack this. We can still read the teaser text for Armani's article before the paywall, aggressively cuts it off.
What does the teaser actually say?
It says, defense is possible, but requires a paradigm shift. While the public remains fixated on the quirks of chatbots, and then boom, we lose access.
Fixated on the quirks of chatbots.
Yeah, and that specific phrase perfectly mirrors a Washington Post headline that's currently trending in the sidebar of the very same page. It says, "Don't tell your AI chatbot these 5 things to keep your money safe."
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Right. So we have the general public treating AI like this slightly untrustworthy search engine. Everyone's just terrified of accidentally pasting their bank routing number into a conversational prompt.
Well, because the public is entirely focused on user error with generative AI.
Yeah.
But generative AI is essentially a stateless function. You provide a prompt, the system predicts the next most likely sequence of words, it generates a response, and then it just goes dormant.
It needs you to initiate it.
Exactly. It requires human initiation. Armani, on the other hand, is pointing to a completely different architecture with autonomous models.
Right. And actually, if I look further down the page, there's a breakdown titled Generative AI versus Predictive AI, the Twin Pillars of Artificial Intelligence Reshaping Our World.
That's the key right there.
Yeah, it highlights how predictive and autonomous models operate continuously. Like, they don't wait for a prompt at all.
No, they don't. They monitor data streams, they update their own internal states, and they execute actions entirely independently based on broader programmed goals.
Which brings me to my question for you. If we're just worrying about, what not to say to a chatbot, are we entirely missing the boat on what an autonomous model actually is?
Short answer, yes. Look, there's an advertisement plastered on this very page for something called the REX AI agent.
Yeah, I see it. It's billed as your 24/7 customer genius.
Right. And notice the framing. It's not sitting idle waiting for a customer to complain. It's actively managing accounts, anticipating interactions. Now, scale that up from simple customer service to massive institutional banking.
Oh, man. Because there's another headline here, AI and banking, the next frontier of financial automation.
Exactly. We are rapidly moving from an AI that, drafts a polite email for you to an AI that is legally empowered to make split-second capital allocation decisions.
Which is wild.
This raises an important question. How unprepared are our global financial systems for autonomous agents executing trades and moving capital without any human oversight?
Probably very unprepared.
Extremely. Think
Yeah.
about it. If a network of these autonomous banking agents from competing financial institutions starts reacting to each other's behaviors in the live market, they could create these devastating feedback loops.
Oh, right, like a flash crash, but driven entirely by agents.
Exactly. An agent spots a microtrend, initiates a massive sell-off. Competing agents instantly detect that sell-off, cross-reference it with their predictive models, and immediately initiate their own automated liquidations.
You could literally see billions of dollars just evaporate in a 400 millisecond algorithmic panic before a human broker even blinks.
Yep. And that cascading systemic risk, that is the paradigm shift, Armani's article is trying to warn the industry about.
Wow. Okay, so if autonomous AI is this hyper-efficient, basically unstoppable force capable of rewiring high finance, the financial markets themselves should reflect that absolute triumph, right?
You would think so, yes.
But looking at the stock tickers and the business headlines aggregated on this page, the market appears wildly schizophrenic. It's disjointed.
Oh, deeply. Because the sources reveal an industry pulling aggressively in two entirely contradictory directions right now.
Yeah.
We are witnessing an unprecedented divergence between consumer-facing software valuations and the back-end hardware economics.
I feel like it's a gold rush, right? Where the people selling the picks and shovels are suddenly realizing how impossibly expensive the mines are to actually build.
That's a perfect analogy.
Because the hype on the consumer side is just staggering. I mean, Yahoo Finance predicts AI stocks will lead the NASDAQ to completely new highs.
Yeah.
The ticker right here shows Microsoft at 424.62 and Apple at 271.06.
Right, massive valuations.
And OpenAI just announced GPT 5.5. Oh, and here's a crazy one. There's a projection that AI cooking shows, which are entirely generated recipes in visual formats, will become an $8.23 billion industry by 2030.
That's absurd.
Right. The market is pricing in a future where AI is seamlessly integrated into literally every mundane human activity. But then, immediately adjacent to those numbers,
Yeah, what's the contrast?
Futurism is running a piece titled, "The Horrible Economics of AI Are Starting to Come Crashing Down."
And that's where reality sets in. The underlying mechanics of that crash are detailed in another headline from the Motley Fool on this page. The $720 billion CapEx trap. Two artificial intelligence hyperscalers spending on growth while the rest spend on maintenance.
$720 billion just on maintenance.
Yes, because the general assumption in tech has always been that you invest capital to build capacity, right? And once built, that server capacity basically just prints money.
Yeah, standard Silicon Valley playbook.
The AI infrastructure doesn't age like traditional server farms. The computational demands of these new autonomous models are advancing so unbelievably fast that the physical hardware becomes obsolete almost instantly.
Wow. So it's like building a massive high-speed rail network, but realizing the kinetic force of the trains warps the tracks so fast that you have to spend all your operating revenue constantly replacing the steel.
Yes.
You can't even afford to buy more trains, you're just fixing the tracks.
Exactly. They are trapped in a cycle of continuous capital expenditure just to prevent their existing infrastructure from becoming completely useless.
That's insane.
And out of all the massive tech conglomerates currently dominating the market, only two are actually deploying capital to expand their capabilities. The rest are just bleeding cash simply to maintain parity with the baseline.
That's a brutal reality check.
And it isn't just an American market phenomenon either.
Yeah.
Look at the Defense News headline here. It describes the artificial intelligence sector inside China as a snake eating its own tail.
A snake eating its own tail.
The global industry is consuming its own resources just to sustain its baseline existence rather than actually advancing.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting. If we want to understand the exact physical mechanism forcing these companies into a $720 billion maintenance trap, we just need to scroll down to the AI data center news section of this page.
Absolutely. This is where the illusion completely breaks.
Right. It destroys the illusion of AI as some weightless, magical brain floating in the cloud. We're always sold on that invisible brain idea. But reading this, it sounds like AI is actually a heavy physical traffic jam.
It really is.
There's a blurb from NVIDIA here stating explicitly that AI agents break the data center throughput model. How do agent workloads stretching across time and systems actually change the game like that?
Well, it comes back to the fundamental difference between a linear generative task and a continuous autonomous process.
Okay.
A traditional data center is optimized for linear throughput. A user requests a web page or some data, the server fetches it, the network
You are listening to the AI World Podcast, your trusted source for the latest innovations, insights, and trends in artificial intelligence, blockchain, fintech, and decentralized technologies. Each episode features expert interviews, engaging discussions, and in-depth analysis of how AI transforms industries worldwide. Stay ahead of the curve with the latest articles and exclusive reports from the AI World Journal, covering everything from emerging technologies to industry breakthroughs. For more news, global events, and access to AI World Society circle gatherings, visit us at aiworld.tv. Don't forget to subscribe to stay informed, stay connected, and be part of the AI revolution with AI World Lounge. Thank you for listening.
Work delivers it and the connection closes.
Clean and predictable.
Very clean. But earlier we established that autonomous agents don't close the connection.
Oh, right, because they're continuous.
Exactly. If I tell an autonomous agent to, say, optimize a global supply chain based on shifting geopolitical news and real-time weather patterns, it doesn't just give me one answer and go to sleep.
Right, it has to stay awake to keep optimizing.
It actively connects to global shipping databases, it constantly pings live satellite feeds, triggers other enterprise software programs, and it just loops continuously across multiple systems for days.
Which fundamentally alters the flow of data traffic in the building.
Completely. The agents are constantly communicating with each other, holding massive databases open, and taking up immense continuous bandwidth.
Okay, that makes sense.
And this structural shift explains a seemingly counterintuitive detail in our sources. Did you catch the news item noting that Intel shares surged in the first quarter?
I did, yeah. And I was going to ask about that, actually. Why are traditional server CPUs surging? Because the entire narrative of the AI boom is about specialized AI accelerator chips, right? The GPUs.
Exactly, the NVIDIA chips.
Right. I would assume traditional CPUs are being phased out in favor of purely AI-driven architecture.
That's what everyone thought. But you actually need traditional server CPUs to act as the traffic controllers for those massive AI accelerators.
Really?
Think of it like this. The GPU is like a massive 100-lane highway. It's capable of processing immense amounts of mathematical data simultaneously. But the CPU that operates the traffic lights and the on-ramps.
Oh, I see.
So when an autonomous agent is continuously pulling data from 20 different APIs, updating internal memories, routing instructions, it's the CPU that manages all those input and output operations.
So the more autonomous agents you deploy, the more of these I/O bottlenecks you create.
Exactly. The insanely expensive GPU might just be sitting there idle, waiting for data, while the traditional CPU is completely overwhelmed trying to route thousands of continuous overlapping agent requests.
Wow. So the entire architecture of the data center is literally buckling under the specific way these autonomous models operate.
It is. Infrastructure, not just the software models themselves, is emerging as the primary limiting factor in the AI race.
Which forces this whole AI revolution out of the realm of pure software engineering and directly into the gritty reality of physical construction.
Heavy construction, yes.
I'm looking at the engineering realities mentioned in these data center blurbs, and they are openly discussing extreme power density.
Yeah, that's the phrase everyone in the industry is sweating over.
Because they have to pack so many of these high-performance chips so close together just to reduce the data travel time, right? And they are generating unprecedented amounts of heat.
Unmanageable heat.
The blurbs say operators can't just blow cold air over server racks anymore. The big AC units are useless now. They are being forced into hybrid cooling and modular builds, literally piping liquid coolant directly to the microchips.
The transition from air-cooled data centers to direct-to-chip liquid cooling represents a massive, and I mean massive, industrial pivot.
Right.
To give you some context, traditional data center racks might consume 10 to 15 kilowatts of power.
Okay.
These new AI training clusters are pushing well past 100 kilowatts per rack.
Good Lord. But honestly, let me push back a bit. Doesn't technology always get smaller, more efficient, and cheaper over time?
That's the myth of perpetual progress.
Yeah, why won't Moore's Law just solve this power density issue in a few years? It seems absurd that these massive companies are fundamentally redesigning the plumbing of their buildings instead of just waiting for the chip manufacturers to make processors that run cooler.
Because we are hitting the absolute thermodynamic and quantum limits of silicon.
The quantum limits.
Yes, as you shrink transistors down to the atomic level to fit more of them onto a single chip, you increase electrical resistance. And you encounter quantum tunneling, where electrons literally jump through barriers they physically shouldn't be able to cross.
Oh, wow.
Managing that kind of leakage requires more voltage. More voltage generates exponentially more heat in a progressively smaller physical area.
Ah, I see.
Moore's law was an observation about transistor density. It was never a guarantee against the laws of thermodynamics. Software engineers simply can't code away physical heat.
So they are literally forced to completely redesign the physical environment.
Yes.
And that comes with a massive bureaucratic cost, too. According to these blurbs, securing the permits to build these liquid-cooled data centers is becoming an absolute nightmare.
That's brutal.
Developers can no longer just buy a massive plot of cheap land in the middle of nowhere and start pouring concrete. The text notes they're having to strategically hunt for experienced jurisdictions.
That specific phrase, experienced jurisdictions, really highlights the shifting power dynamic between big tech companies and local governments.
How so?
Well, an experienced jurisdiction is a local municipality or a county board that actually possesses the high-level engineering knowledge to evaluate the staggering utility demands of these places.
Right, because it's not a normal building.
It's exactly. We're talking about the environmental impact of a 100-megawatt liquid-cooled facility. You can't just plug these facilities into the local wall socket.
Yeah, I imagine the mayor of a small town would have a heart attack seeing the schematics.
They do. You have to proactively submit comprehensive environmental impact plans. You have to detail industrial-scale water usage for the cooling towers.
Right.
And you have to demonstrate mathematically how your private electrical substation isn't going to completely brown out the neighboring towns. It's no longer a tech startup. It is heavy industry.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, sorry, I know that's usually your line.
No, go ahead. If we connect this to the bigger picture.
The most critical physical constraint mentioned in our sources isn't actually the chips or the cooling liquid or even the local zoning boards.
No, it's not.
It is the fundamental capacity of the global power grid itself.
That is the ultimate bottleneck.
There is a deeply technical article listed here about designing for grid reliability. And it reports that the IEE, the Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineers, is currently having to develop unified global standards simply to harmonize AI data center design with global grid operations.
Let that sink in. The premier global engineering organization has to step in because the power draw is so erratic and so massive that these autonomous models could literally break the regional electricity grid.
That is terrifying because a traditional residential or commercial power load is relatively predictable, right?
Very predictable. People wake up, they turn on their lights, they go to work, they come home. It follows a curve.
But if an AI hyperscaler decides to run a massive new autonomous training model for 72 straight hours?
The sudden continuous draw on the regional grid could completely destabilize the frequency of the power supply for everyone else on that network.
Wow.
AI has completely transitioned from a software product into a heavy utility. It requires industrial-scale resource extraction, advanced thermodynamics, and macro infrastructure management.
Yeah, and actually, that is brilliantly summarized by the title of a podcast featured in the margins of this page. The State of AI in 2026, the year intelligence became infrastructure.
The year intelligence became infrastructure. It perfectly captures the reality of this entire transition.
So what does this all mean? We started this deep dive looking at a locked vault, an unreadable, paywalled article warning you about a financial threat from autonomous models.
Right.
But just by analyzing the surrounding evidence of this April 2026 snapshot, we uncovered the underlying mechanics of our current reality. The true story of artificial intelligence isn't just about code anymore.
Not at all.
It's about an industry with infinite intellectual ambition colliding violently with a finite physical world.
And that collision touches absolutely every facet of modern society.
It does. Just looking at the headlines, we didn't even have time to fully dissect today. This infrastructure spans across everything.
Give me some examples.
Well, we see a headline regarding national security, highlighting Intel's new strategic partnership with the U.S. government to secure domestic supply chains in the AI era.
Crucial stuff.
Right. And then we see applications in ancient history where artificial intelligence is being used to literally crack the text of an untouched, burned papyrus scroll.
Oh, the Herculaneum scrolls.
Exactly. A scroll that would instantly crumble into ash if human hands tried to open it. So the capabilities are undeniably miraculous,
They are.
but they come at an incredibly high, deeply physical cost. So the next time you hear about a massive press release announcing a new AI model, whether it's GPT-6 or a new autonomous banking agent managing your retirement fund, don't just picture a weightless, magical brain living in the ether.
No.
Picture the $720 billion in maintenance costs. Picture the massive concrete facilities, the miles of direct-to-chip liquid cooling pipes, and the global electrical grid straining just to keep those processors from melting into slag.
That physical constraint is the essential takeaway here. And I'd like to leave you with a final thought to really mull over as you watch this industry evolve over the next few years.
Go for it.
If AI agents are currently breaking the internal throughput models of data centers,
Right.
and if global organizations like the IEE are scrambling right now to engineer standards just to keep these heavy utility facilities from overwhelming our regional power grids,
Yeah.
what happens when the absolute unyielding thermodynamic limits of our planet's electricity generation fully collide with the infinite unchecked expectations of AI growth?
Oh, man.
When we inevitably reach the point where there simply isn't enough power to go around for every autonomous agent on the network, who or what autonomous model gets to decide which systems stay turned on?
The future of artificial intelligence is unfolding, and it's happening at AI World Week, the flagship global event for innovation, collaboration, and transformation. This flagship global AI event is designed to connect visionary leaders, trailblazing entrepreneurs, and influential thinkers to explore the endless possibilities of AI. Experience groundbreaking technology that redefines industries and inspires progress. Join thought-provoking discussions on ethical AI, digital equity, and the transformative role of technology in our world. Build meaningful connections that catalyze innovation and drive impact. AI World Week is powered by AI World Society, a global movement dedicated to advancing AI responsibly and ensuring it serves humanity. Together, we're shaping a smarter, more inclusive, and equitable future. Continue your journey beyond the event with the AI World Journal, offering expert insights, in-depth analysis, and the latest trends shaping the AI landscape. This is your opportunity to lead, to innovate, and to transform the world with AI. AI World Week. We invite you to join us and embrace the AI revolution.